City Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Present.
Commissioner Burbank. Commissioner Caldwell.
Here.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
Here.
Commissioner McCool.
Here.
Is it her too?
Here. I'm so sorry. I'm just not here today. I apologize.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Here.
And Mayor Villa.
Here. This time I'm going to call the interim city manager for the pledge and invocation.
We have the chaplain from the fire department here. We'd like to do an invocation.
Good evening. Let us pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we come before your presence, Lord. I ask you, Father God, on this evening that you bless every person that's on their way to this meeting, Lord. Keep them safe as they drive to this destination, Father God. And let there be resolve in everything that they speak of in this evening, Father God, for the city of Deltona. I ask you these things in Jesus' mighty name, and bless each and every person in this place as they go out again to be home with their families. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we all take a seat, I just want to recognize for a quick minute. I know that our chaplain was in the Twin Towers doing 9/11. I just want to know if anybody else was as well. If you can please raise your hands. This time we want to send our greatest gratitude to you, Anthony, so round of applause to you. Thank you. And we can be seated. Seated. All right. This time we're going to start our business. 4A, which is discussion with Baker Tilly Vincro Cross LLP regarding the city manager selection process. City Clerk. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Davis, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. The commission's ready for you to start your presentation.
Great. Well, thank you all. My name is Art Davis. I am director for Baker Tilly Executive Recruitment. And you don't need, Mary, you don't need to say the whole name. Just say Baker Tilly, and that would be great. It's a pleasure and an honor to be asked to make a presentation tonight, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to work together. I've had a bit of experience, both as a city manager and also as a recruitment professional. I was in a city very similar in size. My last stint as a city manager in Lee Summit, Missouri, which was a city of about 100,000, very fast-growing community in the Kansas City, Missouri metropolitan area. I spent about 16 years in the public sector working in a variety of administrative positions, and I've been recruiting now for going on 18 years, and doing executive recruitment. Have had, you've seen the proposals and you've seen our the reference list that I've attached, some of the places I've done recruitments for in Florida, as well as some of the larger city manager positions or similar size city manager positions around the country that I listed, that are listed in this presentation today. So I won't go into a lot of detail of that. But just wanted to first of all, say thank you, and really excited about the opportunity. We have a lot of experience in city management recruitment. We Our firm only works in the public sectors, local government, a little bit of state government agencies, and some nonprofit work, but primarily we work in city and county governments, conducting recruitments for city and county managers and a variety of department director positions. And the materials, can you see the materials, the PowerPoint? Are they in front of you?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And so I know the proposal we submitted has been a while ago, but really the only thing that has changed is our cost has very slightly risen, about I guess $450 since our last proposal. So that would be the only change we would have in the proposal. We take a lot of pride in a number of what we think are unique processes. We have an approach where we are all of the recruitment professionals are former public sector administrators, either city managers, HR directors, and we do have a former school superintendent, and we have experience in Florida, and in particular, I have quite a bit of experience, completely understand the open records laws and the need to share and disclose and have full transparency of process. And we'll work with you and your staff and your legal staff on all making sure we're adhering to those requirements. There are a number of things that kind of make us stand out from a group of really lots of quality local government recruitment professionals around the country. But we take a lot of pride in conducting strong vetting processes of our candidates to make sure that you are getting what by all appearances appears to be a good candidate. We want to make sure through our social media scanning and our nexus scanning, our background checks, our psychological strengths and leadership behavior tests. We want you to know going into the interview the key attributes and know the candidate inside and out. And conversely, we want to make sure that the candidates understand and know some of the important factors of the community. And we're going to put our best foot forward in marketing your community, but we also want to make sure they understand some of the challenges. And so as we get to know each other, I'll be talking with you as the city commission and staff and make sure I understand, are there any challenges, financial challenges or development related challenges, things that we need to make sure the candidates not only know about, but hopefully have strengths and experience in dealing with, so that it's a good match when we get to that interview stage. We also have an ability to do some video interviews where you will put together a kind of with a group of preliminary finalist. We will put together a list of questions and ask them to respond. They don't get to see the questions before. They click on a link and they get 30 seconds to review a question and 3 minutes to respond. And it's called Higher View videos. And what it does is it gives you an idea of each candidate's clarity of thought, their base knowledge and experience in particular areas that we may be interested in, and it gives you a little bit of indication: is there a leadership presence? Are they able to respond coherently to questions in a cohesive and concise manner? As many knock on wood, you don't want crises to come up, but they do inevitably with every community in the country. And you want someone that can provide that kind of leadership and be able to respond to whether it's the news media or citizens or even to you at a meeting at the dais in a cohesive and comprehensive way. So this is our recruitment team. We have 6 consultants that are spread throughout the country, and then we have 4 support staff. And we work very well together. We have a minimum of 1 weekly staff meeting and sometimes 2, talking about the challenges that we're experiencing in particular recruitments, providing updates, and if we need assistance from another consultant and possible contacts and lists that they may have access in their LinkedIn accounts or with their experience, then we're always sharing possible high-quality candidates with each other to try to bring to you the most competent, diverse group of semifinalists that we can find, so that then you and possibly a citizens committee, when you're narrowing down the group of candidates, you are comfortable with the quality and the diversity of a group of finalists as you bring them in for on-site interviews. So we talked a little bit about marketing and putting your best foot forward. I would fly down or talk digitally online with you all as a commission and the staff, if you would like me to, and any others you would like me to talk to, and really put together some of your identify the key assets and strengths of your community, and begin to put together a recruitment brochure that we can market on your behalf to prospective candidates in Florida, but also in the surrounding states and throughout the country. We're going to look at their background of their capabilities, find out the kind of capabilities you're looking for, the strengths, and be able to identify opportunities in projects and leadership that they can pursue. And we're also going to kind of dig down and make sure we understand what the salary and benefits, so that we can do a good job of marketing the community from every aspect. And we'd work with you on this recruitment strategy. We've had a lot of success in recruiting diverse candidates for positions. Obviously, it's your all's decision to make when you narrow it down for on-site interviews, but we take a lot of pride in providing diverse candidate pools for you to consider and review. And we think it's important. It's in our DNA that we think it is important to have a variety of talented and competent managers and leaders that are competing for this position. And we also, if you will remember, we have a very diverse, and we exemplify that with a diverse recruitment team. So we provide a weekly status report to you all to let you know how many people have applied, the demographics of the applicant pool. We're going to work with you regarding where we actually post, but then we're also we've got lists that identify city managers, county managers, and assistants for every city and county throughout the country, and as well as other lists of names of contacts that we've worked with in the past. So in the screening and selection of semifinalist candidates, we provide a written questionnaire for each of them to review and provide thoughts about their leadership style, their experience in specific areas you're looking for, and of course it makes it more of an apples and apples comparison because all resumes are put together differently, and we try to identify absolutely detailed account for when individuals started a past job and left a past job, instead of just kind of the generic, starting in 2017 and left in 2019. We want to know details of when they left, why they left, and we're going to provide that information to you. This is just another component of the video that we've talked about, the higher view video, where we ask a series of questions and they respond, and that's something digitally that we're able to share with all of you, and then also provide, because of the open records requirements in Florida, if people want to come into the city and watch it from a terminal, then they have access to come in and watch those as well. So we also have a leadership style and management style assessment digital survey that we utilize, and trying to identify the strengths and behaviors and the tendencies of candidates, and if there's any red flags that come up. For example, if you're looking for somebody with some vision and it ends up that their natural instincts are very kind of micro in focus, then it doesn't mean they wouldn't be a good candidate, because people learn to work around through their career, work around some of their tendencies, but it does mean we need to develop some questions during the interview process that would kind of target those areas and make sure we have a good feel for how they deal with certain areas of management and leadership. Right, in the vetting process, which we believe you should do prior to the interviews, as just as a suggestion. Some clients would prefer to do it post-interview, and that's fine. Part of the problem with that, though, is that you want to know what you're getting when you're going into the interviews. So I think some clients are in the speed mode. We really recommend taking the time necessary, which could be 12 to 15 days of doing a full accounting of the background records, or driving, local, city, county, state, federal, academic verification, social media, sex offender registry list, driving record, etc. So just so that we can find out everything we need to know about candidates. And we have on occasion pulled up areas of challenge or issue that we then try to find out what the rationale was. For example, if someone has a past bankruptcy, it doesn't necessarily exclude a candidate, but it's something that we need to find much more information about. And for example, I've had a police chief candidate that we did backgrounds on and found a bankruptcy when they were actually a sergeant, and but when calling and finding out much more details, the bankruptcy was because the spouse of the sergeant had developed cancer, and they could not afford to pay all of the hospital bills. And the only way out of the situation was to declare personal bankruptcy. And this had been 15 years prior to the search I was working on. And in my mind, that's something that is not something that would have impacted in any way their work as a police chief. So to me, it's a case-by-case review, and we try to find out accurate information and then verify with the candidates so we're not in any way passing on misinformation. We develop a final interview report that we present to you all, and this is going to have suggested interview questions, assessment form, as well as a list of, it's going to contain all of the resume, cover letter, candidate questionnaire response forms, and anything else that we need to share with you so that you have full information going into the interviews with those particular candidates. So I'll let you go through this. I don't want to take too long, and I know you probably have a lot of questions. Again, we have a priority on diversity, inclusion, and belonging for success we call DIBS, and it's something our company is very proud of and promote and encourage with our clients and candidates. This, I've kind of updated our references. Some of the reference information has changed since the proposal we submitted to you all. So these are kind of a new set of references, and mostly the same references, but some of the numbers, phone numbers have changed or email addresses have changed. And so I wanted to give you the latest information, and that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. We have Vice Mayor Bradford.
Yes.
I appreciate your presentation. I just have one question, and it's actually for us. When did we hire him? Okay, because has any contracts been signed? Has anything been done? I thought the census was that we were sending an RFP out and including everybody that was in the prior, not that we were like, surprise, here's the winner.
No contract had been signed. They were just doing a presentation because they were the highest ranked the last time that they went out for an RFP.
So he's not selected? No. Okay, what are we doing about, did we set out an RFP or no?
No, we have not sent out an RFP because I was under the impression that we wanted to move forward as quick as we can. So we took what the last rankings that was done with the commission, and we have not signed any kind of contract, no. This was just a presentation.
Okay, because I was under the impression we were sending out an RFP and we were going to include everybody who was there last time, but not that, hey, kabam, these guys are it. I would like us to send an RFP out. And I don't know if I'm the only one. I was a little confused when I saw this because I was like, I didn't know we selected anybody, nor did we give direction to select somebody. So maybe I misunderstood.
That would be both of us, because I was under the impression we were going to bring all of them back again. So.
Okay. So thank you very much for taking the time and putting the presentation together. I also, when I looked at the agenda yesterday, it was pretty blank, and I didn't have this, and I do like to have a chance to go over things. Maybe I missed it. I would like to see more candidates, and I think that it needs to be very well known to whoever we're utilizing. Like, his presentation's great, but everything that kept coming to my brain was, where's my committee? Where's my committee in this? Because we did a selection committee, and when I'm looking at his chart, the last thing I'm seeing is the committee. They're not even a committee, because our committee needs to be involved from the get. They need to be involved from putting the different questions together, working to work with us to do that. And I think we're rushing into it, and we need to take a step back and do it the right way. So if that means we need to put an RFP out, I would love to see an RFP, which I know, maybe we just love having you here.
No, ma'am, that's not my intention, believe me. What my intention is because when we started talking about this, and my first night, it was, we need to hurry up and do we need to get something going. So I am in no way, shape, or form trying to delay anything. I am trying to go through the process, keep the ship going in the right direction. But it's at the commission, or at the will of the commission, whatever you all desire us to do, we will do so. We were just trying to bring some things forward. We have Mr. Carmen Rosando from DeBerry again. Him and I have been conferring back and forth. He was going to get up and do a short presentation also. We handed out this afternoon in a packet. I think you have it. It has a chart, a flow chart, and it has the bullet points behind it. And Carmen was going to kind of go over that stuff. So whatever the consensus is, whatever y'all would like us to do, that's what we're here tonight to get stuff straight and get direction. Also, the other thing is the Citizens Committee is that's still happening. That is all part of this process. As the presenter also talked about, was using the Citizens Committee, for this process. So I'm not at all disregarding that at all. In fact, I was going to read y'all the final selection committee that y'all chose, at some point tonight.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm totally against them. I'm just saying I was kind of shocked when I saw the agenda. That's all I have, I guess. I mean, this isn't just for me. I mean, I know it's a workshop, and I don't know anybody else is on, but how long does an RFP usually go? 90 days? Can we do an RFP for less time so it's not 3 months? I mean, is 30 or 60 days too short?
Well, you can do, and I'll defer to Mary. Maybe she has some information, but typically an RFP would be 30 to 60 days. You'd want to put it out for 30 days, and then you have then we would have to come back to y'all in workshops and/or meetings to do the ranking of the firms. So you're looking at least 30, I'd say 45 to 60 days total. So I was on the fast track trying to move forward.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner McCool, then Commissioner Jody Lee. Mr. Davis, please, this is not a reflection on you. We're just, we're trying to make sure that we are as transparent to our residents as we possibly can. So, Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Same. I think that in moving forward, we need time-specific dates. So I would like, by the next regular commission meeting, that we understand that the RFP has gone out. This is just what I'm thinking, that the RFP go out, that we have it no longer than 30 days to go out and have it back as soon as possible. I mean, I'd like to hear what Mr. Carmen has to say also regarding that, but we must do that because we have been accused of doing things not in the sunshine, that we've made a unilateral decision to do this. And, we have so much question about our transparency that I want to make sure that we're hearing what is being said, not that we're just dismissing stuff as background noise, that we're hearing what's being said, because these things are really, really important to our constituency after the last year or so. So I would like to have that brought back. We have that information on file. I know that somewhere I gave the prior city manager a huge stack of where we had, and I think Joyce has it too, and reaching out to them, we should know something by commission meeting, right? If somebody, I mean, no, what I'm saying is, Joyce just gave me the daggers. No, what I'm saying is that we have that list. We should have that list accessible, right, by the next, I'm still getting daggers. Anyways, I would like that list accessible.
As far, excuse me,
Go ahead,
sorry to interrupt, but as far as the list, are you talking about the firms that were ranked before? I have that right here too, yes. But we can get it to you.
But we can get the RFPs started, correct? So
Yes.
that we have confirmation that by the next meeting, because here's the thing, at any given communication cycle that we have, whether it be workshop or a regular commission meeting, we need to be putting that information out forward. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want the residents to have to be dragging that forward-facing information out from us. So whatever that move is, that we can inform the residents that we have moved forward with that. That would be great.
Commissioner McCool, Commissioner Jody Lee. Yeah, Mr. Davis, we thank you for your time. Unless a commissioner up here has a question for Mr. Davis? No. Mr. Davis, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm sure the interim city manager or one of the city staff will be in contact with you.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Davis.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
I was kind of hoping he'd sit there and listen to what I got to say, but he's probably smarter than you got. I hate to say it, but if we're going to do for one, we have an HR department. Do we have to get an outside firm? There's one. No, it doesn't mean we have to. It's up to us. The second thing is, somebody wants $25,000, $50,000, $75,000 of our money. That was the worst presentation I've ever seen somebody come into the city to want our money. That was disgusting. Sorry to say it. $75,000, $50,000, and he said, I'm sorry. If that's what we're going to find our city manager, we need to find somewhere else to find a city manager. That was just disgusting. That was the worst sales pitch I've ever heard in my life.
We understand. No personal attack.
Okay, I'm done.
For how long?
So at this time, if it's okay with the mayor, vice mayor, and commission, I'd like to call Mr. Carmen up to go through his bullet points there. Him and I conferred, and I agree with him of what he's presenting. So, Carmen.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. I'm Carmen Rosamonda, City Manager of DeBerry. As you know, y'all asked my assistance a little bit of helping with the city manager search. I think what the interim manager was bringing, I think it was an RFP that was never acted upon, that were a couple of years ago, and so he resurrected, I believe, that RFP that was never acted upon. You may want to talk to your council, your purchasing manager, to see if that's feasible, of whether or not you can reinvent that particular RFP and save some time, or you can do an RFP. That's your objective, whatever your decision. So, in working with Glenn, your interim city manager, I put together some roles and responsibilities. I think our objective here is make sure we have a smooth process that's transparent, that's trustworthy, and that it's free of influences, and that we can make a decision, a non-emotional decision, on who the best candidate for this position will be. And so I put some things together so that, and you have copies of these, and I actually have some copies for the public too once we get done. First, I thought, obviously, the commission will hire a firm to conduct the recruiting services, and whoever that is, whoever you choose to be the best, that's your decision on what firm you want to use. The commission will establish qualifications for the new candidate, and I do have some recommendations on here. And then the commission, and usually most of your recruiters will want to identify honest and factual challenges and opportunities for the city manager. And this is going to be really important for you as you start evaluating your city manager, is to disclose what the challenges and opportunities are in your particular organization and in your community. And you have to be, and I use the terms honest and factual. And you have to do some soul searching. And it's not easy to look at yourself and say, you know, these are all our faults. But that's the person that you want to solve those faults. And so you're going to have to disclose them. And so I think it's very important in the advertisement when it goes out that you're honest and factual based upon what challenges and opportunities that exist here. Because basically your questions are going to be based upon a lot of these challenges and opportunities. You're looking for the perfect match. And you're looking for the perfect match as the challenges and opportunities exist today. And so I identified some of the suggested qualifications, obviously college degree in related field, 5 years of city manager's experience or equivalents. Again, these are suggestions. But then you're looking for leadership skills, and if you don't mind, I'll explain a few of these as well. You're looking for somebody that I believe that you need is a team management philosophy with adaptive management styles. And team management basically is somebody who can build consensus, somebody who can work in teams. Councils and city managers are teams. And you need somebody who can build consensus, and that's when outstanding organizations perform very well, is when their board and their CEO, which is basically in this thing, all corporations exist this way, all public corporations. You're a board, you have a CEO, and the best organizations run in the world have their board and their CEO are teams. And you got to have somebody who works in teams, as well as inside the organization. The city manager and the directors work as teams. You need that for interaction and communication and everything else. So you're looking for somebody that's team-oriented and that can manage in teams. But then adaptive management styles. And I heard talk about, well, I don't want nobody who wants to be a micromanager or anything else. That's absolutely false. What you need is a city manager that can manage in any shape, fashion, and form. You're going to have a manager who's got to perform at the macro level when all his departments are performing very well, and they're going to have to operate as a micro manager. When you got departments not performing very well, you got a new director, or during severe hurricanes and everything else, they're working as a micromanager with Public Works and everybody else. And so they have to be adaptive, macro and micro, depending on the situation. They have to be task-oriented or humanistic, depending on the situation. They have to be either a generalist or very detailed, depending on the situation. And so you want a city manager that's adaptive to all situations and have adaptive management styles. And so they have to be able to perform in all those different realms. You got to have experience in organizational cultural change. Obviously, you have talked about change in this particular organization. They have to be astute in organizational change and how to implement change. Because you get somebody who doesn't implement change very well, they'll create more chaos and more turmoil. And so implementing change and how you do that is very important. You need somebody that's exceptional visionary and foresight skills. With some of the laws that are coming through the state of Florida today, the Live Local Act, you got to be able to have vision, all the future things and impacts that these laws have on your community. You got to have those particular foresights to be able to bring it to council on a proactive basis, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a proactive manager who has those visionary and foresight sides. Somebody who has an exceptional strategist and a problem solver. And when you have a lot of problems in your organization, it's very important that you have somebody who be able to identify those particular problems. Now, some managers have blinders on and they don't want to see all the problems. But you want somebody to be able to identify all the problems and to be able to solve them, and it takes a strategist to do those. And you resolve them one by one. They got to have extraordinary multidimensional communication skills. And they explain that this is just not written and verbal, because most of your interviews, and you've had interviews, and I've had interviews, and everything else. And what's your communication skills, verbal and written? That's only half the battle. The communication skills has got to be multidimensional, which visionary-wise is not only inside the organization, but it's external to the organization. They're dealing with the press. They're dealing with the community. How's that communication, multidimensional skills working in between each department? Is the communication getting back and forth for each department? So it's a multi-communication dimension that you really got to focus on, is how can you communicate to the residents so they have the information. A lot of folks, a lot of managers don't understand that communication is a business process, and that if you send out the wrong information, you're going to create 5,000 telephone calls to your front office. Or if you don't put out the right information, it's going to cause this. There's a cause and effect with communication, and that's where that multidimensional communication is extremely important. They got to have a high energy, passion, and a champion attitude. Well, what does that mean? Well, you can't be lackadaisical. You got to be high energy. It's going to take a lot of energy to resolve a lot of the problems in this particular organization, but they got to have a champion attitude. If they don't have a champion attitude, that means that every single department in this city wants to be the best and should be the best in the state of Florida, then you don't need to hire them. That's one of the things that always bothers me with leadership, and I've been in management for 40 years and leadership in 40 years, is managers just don't want to say that they want to be the best in the country or the best in the world. I come from the Florida Department of Revenue, 35 years, senior manager there. We can honestly tell you that we're the best revenue agency in the world, and we give tours, 33 other states and 17 other countries, on how the Florida Department of Revenue operates its business, because we know that we were the best in the world. And so if you don't have that desire to be the best in the world or the best in the state of Florida or even best in Volusia County, that manager, if he's not going to drive you to be there. Then outstanding customer service and result-oriented. And basically, customer service is ultimate key. We are public servants, and public servants has got to serve the public. But the city manager also serves the council, and they should treat the council as customers as well. And if they don't treat the council as well, you have expectations, and they should have every desire to meet each and every one of y'all's expectations. Superior workforce management, and I can't tell you how key that is how do they recruit and retain the workforce? How do they build proficiency in the workforce? Building proficiency is basically this. You have a certain talent level. Can you honestly say that it's the best talent level in the state of Florida? If it's not, it's a problem. And so when you manage your workforce, you got to have a strategy as to how to build proficiency in your organization. How do you build the talent? How do you build the talent to be able to handle all these particular problems in your community? And then obviously confidence and decisiveness. But Council, I recommended that you receive semi-finalist lists from the firm, whoever firm that you hire. You consider the recommendations from the Citizen Committee. The commission ultimately determines the final list and schedules interviews. Develops a laundry list of interviews consistent, and this is extremely important, consistent with the challenges, opportunities, and the KSAs that I allowed. Because a lot of times you get into interviews and you ask these very generic questions, and you never really pin down exactly the individual's talents based upon your own challenges, opportunities, and the KSAs you're looking for. Also, to conduct a public meet and greet, that's extremely important, where residents can come up in one evening for 3 or 4 hours and talk to your potential candidates. One-on-one interviews privately is very effective. And then public interviews. You do public interviews in front of the public, and then there's public input during your deliberations, and then you would select. So I established the commission roles and responsibilities, and if you kind of follow, and again, you can make adjustments to this or whatever you deem necessary, but we're trying to shoot for is a smooth process that everybody can trust. There's an actual plan put into place prior to going into this particular process, and that you come up with these challenges and opportunities and standards in a business-like manner, so that future city managers who are watching us tonight can see that this is a smooth and operating process, and you're starting from right now to make sure that you're operating in a business manner. You don't want to chase off city managers because it's a hectic and chaotic process. Those challenges already exist right now, and you don't want to make any more chaotic an existing process where you chase them off. You're looking for one candidate, but hopefully there'll be enough candidates here to be able to take a look and go, yeah, I want this challenge. I want this challenge to be able to do this and make the city of Deltona the best city in Volusia County, if not the state. But then I put some roles and responsibilities for the Citizens Committee, and that's assigning a management sponsor. That management sponsor probably needs to be your interim city manager, who would coordinate meetings. They need to be explained the Sunshine Law, and not many people know that the committee you just selected is based upon the Sunshine Law. They cannot speak to each other, and they cannot speak to the council. If they do, they're in violation of the Sunshine Law. In all our committees that we do in the city of DeBary that we have, our attorney presents the Sunshine Law to the committee members and explains not only what the responsibilities are, but what the penalties are for violating the Sunshine Law. That's very key and extremely critical. And then, of course, the management sponsor handles the task at hand. The committee meets, and the management sponsor meets with them to make sure that they stay on task. They select a chairman, because you got 14 members on the committee. They should select a chairman, and that chairman should be the spokesperson of the committee. You shouldn't have to deal with 14 different voices. Whatever the committee votes on, the chairman actually presents to the commission. It's impossible to have 14 different people standing up here giving their particular recommendations. You want one set of recommendations from the committee, and the committee shall vote on those recommendations, and the majority rules, obviously. And then determine the minimum of 3 candidates that best meet the challenges, opportunities, and the KSAs. And that's one of the things the management sponsor will kind of guide the committee. Here are the challenges that have been created or developed by the commission. Here are the opportunities developed by the commission, and here are the KSAs developed by the commission. And then you shall evaluate the semifinalists based upon the challenges, opportunities, and the KSAs. I can't tell you how important that is. It's not a popularity contest. It is a selection, a business selection. Do they meet the challenges, opportunities, and the KSAs? And the best one wins. And of course, the recommendation is made to the city commission, and the presentation is made by the chairman. And you'll hear from one voice representing the entire committee. And so I think this particular process that I have outlined for, and I drew a process map for you, we'll create a stable recruiting process. Whoever you hire as a firm, that's your choice, and whether you want to use the old RFP, check with legal or purchasing, your purchasing manager, or you want to do a new one, that's your option. But I would recommend you establishing this particular process in writing so everybody understands their roles and responsibilities, including the Citizens Committee, to make sure, and it sets the expectations so that your process will run smoothly and that you can make a business decisions without emotion. And I'll take any of your questions and concerns.
Thank you, City Manager Carmen. Vice Mayor.
I don't have anything for Carmen, so somebody else has something for Carmen.
Does anyone have questions for Carmen?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for coming for the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner McCool.
Mr. Carmen, thank you for all the work that you've put into this, really. It's a reflection upon what you've done in your city, which leads me to this. When you took over as city manager for your city, there was a lot going on between the public and commission. It was not a good environment. There was a lot of bad stuff going on with the city of DeBary. At current, with the city of Deltona, same thing. I mean, in any municipality that happens, there are differences, fundamental differences between a commission and the public, between commission and city manager. I'm saying things that could go on. With handling of staff, or I should say not handling of staff, those kinds of things. And I want you to take us through what I believe is one of the most important parts here is the honesty in understanding what your deficits are, because we have a lot of challenges, and bringing someone in here without admission of what our flaws and challenges are, it seems futile. How did you navigate that as the city manager when you were straightening out DeBary, getting your commission together and being able for us to focus in an honest way on those challenges, that team building? This commission, while fundamentally we disagree on a lot of stuff, we're really together on this process right here as far as wanting the best city manager. And in order to do that, we have to talk about what our challenges are. So tell me how you did that. How did you build that bridge from what it was to what it is? Because this will help us. I'm saying, well, what I'm saying is it will help us as we move forward, because one of the first things that we have to do is we have to have that honesty in challenges. Our challenges are that we suck at communicating with the public sometimes, that our transparency issues, although you know, you can go back and forth on that. We have that. It's some of the real things that causes a lot of frenetic, bad energy. How did you straighten that out so that we may move forward? What did you do to your commission, or how did you communicate and have them work that out?
Well, the first thing, and trying to come up with an answer for you, the first thing you have to do is you have to develop teamwork. And I think teamwork comes a lot with responsibility of the city manager. I'm very team-oriented, and the council and our council and I understood that in order to resolve these particular problems, you got to do it as a team. The second thing is you can't be afraid of your problems. And I'm going back to the Department of Revenue, but this is our definition of problems. Anything that doesn't make you the best in the world is a problem. And our slogan was "Problems are our friend." And how you build a continuous improvement organization is that you got to constantly look at your problems and you got to resolve them 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time. And so when you start taking a look at an organization, and then you can start continuing to improve them once you start solving them. But a lot of times organizations bury their problems, and they don't like to honestly look at the organization and identify all the problems and what needs to be done. You have to look within. I think you think you operate as a team, but I think there's a lot of individuals, and I think you need a good city manager who can build consensus, who can provide a lot of communication before council meetings and build this commission into a team to where they understand all the facts, they understand all the decisions, and then can move forward together as a team to make sure that, one, you can do a strategic plan for the whole community. You can do a strategic plan for your stormwater process. I mean, what projects need to be done first in order to prevent flooding? And so these are the things that you have to be done, and it just takes a lot of honest and trustworthy communication. A new city manager is going to come in here and he's going to say, you're terrible at this, and this, and this. You got two options. Either you team up with him and solve them, or you hate him for even saying it, or him or her. And so these are the things that we have that organizations have to do. You have to have those trustworthy communications and one-on-one with the city manager, and just have look. These are all our problems. And if you want to become, if it is truly your mission to become the best city in Volusia County or the best city in the state of Florida, then you have to identify all your problems. Could be 100, could be 200, could be 300. And then you have to formulate a strategy how to resolve those. And that's how you do that. You got to have a great problem identification, and you shouldn't be afraid of your problems. Problems are your friend, as I tell all of my leaders for the last 40 years. Problems are your friend, and how you build an automatic continuous improvement organization is focus on the problems, get them resolved, and you'll automatically climb the ladder to being the best. Again, the definition of a problem is anything that's preventing you from being the best city in the state of Florida. And so even though you do good at some things, you're still not the best in the state of Florida at it. And it's department by department, process by process. If your growth management process is not the best in the state of Florida, it needs to be revised and re-engineered and redeveloped. If your park and rec facilities and everything else is not the best in the state of Florida, you got problems. And then you got to identify those, and then you got to march towards resolving those to become the best in the state of Florida. So you have to go by department, process by process. You have to identify all your problems, and by constantly focusing on those problems, you automatically build a continuous improvement process. And that's how organizations become the best in the world. But again, identification of problems is very big. It takes a lot of courage to identify all your problems in a particular process, but that's what we did here. When I came into the city of DeBary, we had some problems in growth management. Yeah, we identified all the problems in growth management, and we made changes. We had a lot of complaints. It was too expensive. We were too slow. It was our land development code was not good enough. Our TOD regulations wasn't good enough. It caused a lot of problems, and it wasted, quite frankly, it wasted a lot of time for our not only for our citizenry, but for also staff and council. And so you started resolving those. And what we did with growth management, we brought in, we re-engineered our whole process. We brought in, we didn't have an engineer, we had a contract engineer. So we brought in a new city engineer that represented the city of DeBary. We went out for an RFQ, you know, we only had one engineer on contract, and now we have 3 continuing contracts for every single construction discipline all the way across the board. I'll just give you a little success story. We got 27 little small stormwater projects that we got to do, and they're all under engineering, all at the same time, where previously we were doing one after another. We were just chugging along. And so it wasn't a very good process, so we just totally re-engineered the process. The second one I like to explain about is communications. Because when I came to the city of DeBary, we had no communications. The communication director was the city manager. And I really got an eye-opening because 1 month after position, we had a 100-acre forest fire. And I'm sitting out in the middle of this forest fire trying to communicate to the residents that the whole city wasn't going to burn down. And to realize that then at that particular time, yeah, I need a communications department, somebody who can consistently put out this proactive information. And we started with a communication department, and we hired 1. Now we're up to 4. And we made our front desk person a communications person as well. And so that we wanted the contact points where people contacted the department or contacted the city to be the best employee that we could possibly put there. They want the residents to call a receptionist and just get transferred to somebody else. We wanted somebody at the front desk who answers all the calls to be able to be an expert employee. And so we elevated that position from a receptionist up to a communication specialist. And so they are now involved in all of the facts of communications, and it's extremely important. Every single point of contact that the public has to your organization should be your best employee, not your worst. And so it's all, and that creates the image for your organization. And so these are some of the things we did, and I think you'll find that our communication department is one of the best in the state of Florida. We put out more proactive information for our community. It has slowed down the need to call the city, because then now they're getting the factual information. We always took the approach when you see communications as a business. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, Mayor. I'm sorry, but when you see communication as a business, then you start to realize the impact on your community here. And when you only give residents half the information, they're going to draw their own conclusions. And that's what creates and wastes a lot of time for staff, and it's going to waste a lot of time for commissions, and it doesn't create trust and respect. And the other thing, Mayor and Council, I'll just give you a little bit of advice. The commission has got to does what it says it's going to do. And you build trust and respect by not only your voice, but also by your actions. And once you start building those successes on these problems and everything else, and you publicize them. Hey, we did this, we re-engineered this particular process, this is what we did. When you get those small wins and everything else, publicize what you've done and start building that trust and respect, because you're starting to accomplish and get those particular results. Does that make sense? Yep. That's a long answer to your question, but you asked me a big question, Mayor, Commissioner McCool.
But it is, and it's one of the greatest challenges that we face. Sometimes we are our own worst enemy. I raise my hand about that, you know what I mean? And I'm really trying to do better about that. But again, is putting out factually what the challenges are is going to be a big part of who we select also. I mean, at junctures, we need crisis management here, not just for weather events, but, you know, other events. So that's why I'm asking. Thank you for the long answer. It was absolutely worth it. There are good information contained within that as we move forward for the selection. So thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Bradford, then Commissioner Jody Lee.
Okay, so now that we're sending an RFP out, I guess the question goes, in 2020, we had a budget for the RFP. Is that money still in the general fund? And how, do you remember, Mary, how much it was? Because these are going to be questions that are coming up.
Between the time of the proposed budget, there was a change to add $75,000 to the budget for a city manager search firm. So that's currently in the budget. If the budget's going to be voted on the 18th of September.
Okay, so it's $75, just $75,000 is just on the search firm.
Correct.
10-4. And then when we put the RFP out, do we have local places we can put this out as well for local talent, or?
That's part of our procurement policy. We always give preference to local contractors in every bid that we do. I don't know how many search firms there are in Deltona, but it goes out nationally, so we can pull from a big pool of respondents.
Okay, yeah, because I'm not sure if there is local. I know there's a lot of national, but I'm not sure how many there were local. So, all right,
but if they do respond, they get preference.
Thank you.
That's part of our procurement policy.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
Is this also going to be listed on our website for jobs available in the city as well as an RFP? Is it going to be listed as a job opening? So local people or somebody local can try to apply without going through the company?
Yes, sir. We can advertise it on our website, et cetera. Our HR director was working with WorkBrights for applications to see, if we hire the search firm if we do that, if that's y'all's will. Those applications that are sent to that system will be sent to that search firm. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can we also, do we have to take a consensus to agree to a search firm? Because
We have to vote on it.
We have to vote on it when they present to us.
what happens if we don't want to do a search firm?
So, if I may, Mr. Mayor, that's one of the purposes we're here tonight, to get the consensus on whether you want to do the RFP. Now that you've said you want an RFP or RFQ, that we get your consensus to do such, and we will get. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Listen, I'll finish. But that was my thing about a search firm. I mean, and I understand other cities do it this way, and some people say yes, some people say no. You're going to get a search firm from, they'll just use the city, Chicago. They have a friend they're going to promote, and they want him to retire in Florida, so they're going to push this one person. They're going to push one or two person. I mean, you disagree with me, or anybody can shake their head and say what they want. It's been known to happen. We have wound up with other managers in this city that have caused issues over time, and came from a search firm. There was a city manager here not too long ago that got pushed out that came from a search firm, wasn't there? I believe Ms. Jane Shang was from a search firm, and that caused a bunch of problems in our city. It caused some lawsuits in our city too. But these came from search firms. So, I mean, not all of us are for it, and I'm sure not all of us are against the search firm. I know, I'm sure you can all guess my opinion already. There's an outside company that's going to push their agenda. And somebody that lives up in Chicago, guess what, doesn't have the interest of Deltona at heart. They don't care about our city. There's nothing about this city they care about. They care about the paycheck coming down.
What are you proposing, Commissioner Jody?
I led our HR department. We have leagues of cities. There's so many other different things to find a city manager.
So just so I'm understanding before I go to Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, we just dismantled an employee committee based on not putting our HR department in a peculiar situation and left it to a liaison for that same reason.
No, I'm not talking about, they can still, them people can still do their interviews for the manager and talk to whoever we come up with, but we have to give them a list of people that want the position as city manager.
Okay.
That's I mean, if I just think to pay all this money for a search firm and to come up with somebody that might not want or don't have the best interest of Deltona in our heart. I understand other cities do it, and this is how we've done it in the past. Maybe that's the problem, is we keep doing the same thing over and want a different result. Just my opinion. But I think we should do a consensus on whether we want to use a search firm.
We'll get to your consensus in just a minute. We'll go to Commissioner Avila-Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So what you're saying, Glenn, is that we can have a search firm, but we're also going to give other people who are not going through the search firm the opportunity to apply for the jobs, going directly to through our HR department. Is that what we're saying?
No, they would not be going through the HR department. They would be going, all that stuff would be forwarded to the search firm. Carmen asked if he could come back up there just a second, if that's okay with you.
Okay, but can okay, so I'm a little confused now.
I think the application goes to the search firm. They can submit it, but then it will go to the search firm and the committee.
So it doesn't go to HR?
Yeah.
It'll go through the committee. Correct?
Yes.
I thought that's not what we were going to do. I thought that we were going to give them an option to go through HR as well. But anyway, either way, my question was about the vetting. So if they go through our HR, do we have the staff to do that full page, that the presentation they showed us, which is going to be the process of vetting their background?
The vetting would be done with the search firm, the background checks, and et cetera. That was what I had envisioned.
You good, Ms. Vasquez? Don't. So let's get it. I mean, this is what the workshop for. Don't feel bad if you want to.
No, it's just confusing because I thought that we were going to allow locals to apply through our HR. So, I mean, we're doing the job for the, I'm for a search firm, but if we're going to have both options, I don't understand why locals need to go through the firm, because
they would have to go through the vetting process, and that's what we talked about. They would submit through HR. However, HR would pass it on to the firm to go through the vetting process. So what happens there is that the pool that would apply through HR is a different pool of people than what the search firm would present.
So then my next question is this search firm going to agree to do that? So, you know what I'm saying? It's just getting, every time we say something, it just gets more confusing because we keep adding things at the last minute. So
why don't we just make it then where we post it, but then we post the link to wherever the search firm is having the postings go to. They don't come to us. We don't touch it. HR don't touch it. You can put the link up there. They can click on the link and it will go directly to the search firm. So, Carmen, I know you're not. Carmen wants to apply for the city of Deltona. He can click that link and submit it just like everybody else.
So our HR is out of the picture. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, I think that'll save them having to have more work.
That makes things a little bit more clearer. Thank you.
I'm not saying you were going to apply, but.
Carmen, go ahead.
Carmen Rosamonda, City Manager at DeBerry. Let me give you a little bit different perspective. You're trying to develop one process. The more different process you create more indecision there. If have an HR, put the link to you want to put all the applicants in one pool. You want them all evaluated because you're trying to find the best one. To try to have your HR try to do some vetting and these folks do vetting as well, they're not going to be the same process, and it's going to create turmoil and chaos in the process. So if HR does receive an application, they should be able to forward it to the recruiting office, and then they could be vetted just like anybody else and evaluated just like anybody else. You really can't have two separate processes. It just doesn't work. And I know you don't want to spend money on a recruiting firm, but let me give you a little perspective. If you hire a good city manager, they pay for themselves 10 times over. and $28,000 or $30,000 or $50,000, and excuse my terms, is peanuts based upon what a good city manager can save you and the revenues that they can bring in through grants and everything else, through budget savings and everything else. And so $50,000 for a recruiting firm or $28,000 for a recruiting firm to hire a great city manager, they will save you 100 times that kind of money every single year. And so you're investing in trying to find the best city manager possible. And I guarantee you, they'll save you millions of dollars every single year. And a good city manager, both in production, both in how you execute your processes, and then they'll bring in the revenues from grants and everything else in your strategies, and they'll bring outside revenue sources in, and they pay for themselves many, many times over.
Thank you, Carmen. So let's go back really quick to Commissioner Jody Lees. What is your proposal? So you got at least your question asked to the dais.
Well, I just still have an issue with doing this search firm. I mean, it's a company. They're going to find people from, and I get what the city manager is saying. I totally get it. But we've done this before in this city, and it hasn't worked out for us. I mean, there's different ways to get people at the same time. I mean, there's people that come to these meetings that can find more stuff on someone's background than these search firms find. We all know that. There's people that sit in this audience that find more, and they skip things. I mean, there's no lie. There's people that come to these meetings that can find more on your background than a search firm will ever find. There's other ways to do it. I mean, if that's what it's going to be, it's going to be. But we're just talking about saving money. Why don't we try it for a little bit and see if we can come up with somebody? If we don't do it, then we'll go to a search firm. Let's try it a different way for once. I know people already have their minds made up, but you do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. I think they call that something.
What is, Mr. Whitcomb, what is a little bit different from a search firm? Would that be like a recruiter? Is that what we're looking at?
The search.
To me, it's the same thing. I want to make sure I get clarification because.
But it won't cost us $50,000.
Contractually, it's the same thing.
But practically, yes, it's the same thing as a recruiter. The search firm is, yes.
Okay. So the question is, what does this commission want to do? Because after today, I want to make sure I give Glenn a timeline. That way we're not coming back and we're not having these embarrassing moments where staff is understanding one thing and because of our indecision, we're not getting things done. So
I was going to say, then let's just go down the line and say, recruiter or no recruiter.
Okay, or recruiter or RFP?
Yeah, RFP or.
So we'll start with Commissioner, okay. Commissioner Avila Vasquez?
Recruiter.
A recruiter or RFP?
RFP or recruiter? We're picking one of the two.
I just said recruiter.
A recruiter is an RFP.
Yes, the clarification.
That's what I just asked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The RFP and the recruit, we would have to do an RFP
Right.
to get a recruiter. Right. So you would.
So then, Jody, I'm sorry, I don't know what your request really is.
He wants us to just put it out. He's a recruiter.
Go ahead.
Mine is letting our HR department do it. That's.
So can we finish doing down the line? I thought that was the decision.
HR or our
Is there any public comments?
We're going to get to public comments in just a minute.
Recruiter.
Vice Mayor.
RFP.
Commissioner McCool.
RFP.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
HR.
Commissioner Caldwell. Okay. Can we pull, I'm RFP, can we pull public comments, please?
Kathy Bryan, please.
He said RFP.
RFP.
That's what I said. What do you do?
No, you can have all the Kathy.
Kathy Bryan, Deltona. One of the reasons I was trying to holler public comments is because I think you should have them before you make a consensus. My opinion, Commissioner Avila Vasquez, you kind of brought up the one question I had is if personal applications are put in, how are they going to be vetted? Because they're not going to be vetted, I don't think, as well by our HR, who has time, who has the resources. If it's my understanding and the citizen committee is going to also help with this selection, then please stop me so that I don't have a sunshine violation. But listening to the Baker Tilly talk, you know, he talked about what if we have to bring in assistants? Well, how much more is that going to cost? I think these are things that have to be considered when you guys are looking at these folks. The other thing I want to point out is that unlike previous times when you were looking at city managers, I don't think commissioners, before we have our pool of people that we're going to interview, should be meeting with people one-on-one and getting to know them prior to, because then you develop prejudices and rapport already, and so then you've already got it in your head who you want. Let us take a look at them as a citizens board. Let us, you know, take the advice and then look at them as a pool. Because I know already some of you got peas running in your head going, You know, another thing is when we look at these people, do we have examples of successful candidates? And how long have they been employed for? How long did they stay for? I know he put something up and I couldn't see it. My eyes are poor even with my glasses on. Mr. Rosamunda talked about communication. Let me revamp that. Effective communication. The lack thereof, which I have seen all my life, is usually the biggest thing of lawsuits. So, good night.
Albert Bryan.
Wow. You know, I've heard transparency said about 30 times tonight. But here's the thing. I've yet to see transparency, in all honesty. But what I will say is this actually needs to come to a complete halt right here, right now. Because he said it. He made my case tonight for me. Y'all are under investigation. Don't take and come out and say that there's not anything wrong with that, because there is. Y'all are under investigation for the last hiring, matter of fact. You don't see a problem with that? Really? And you're going to take and sit up there and try to make this decision again. Oh, what did we hire this last time? Oh, that's right. Somebody with 40 years of experience that failed you. That completely failed you, not us, because we didn't have a say in it. Y'all shunned our opinions. There is no transparency with you people, none whatsoever. In 9 years I've been doing this. This is the worst I have ever seen it. He talks about respect. You have no respect for us. None whatsoever. None for the process. I've asked for this process for 4 freaking years. And y'all sat up there on your high and mighty thinking you knew better than us. Well, you proved yourselves wrong over and over and over again. So why should we have any respect for your process now? Hire an interim manager. Put him back where he belongs. Take him waiting for the investigation to be done.
That's it. No more.
Commissioner McCool?
I have no idea, so we can just move on.
All right. Glenn, Mr. Whitcomb. Timeline's 45 days. We are... Mr. Albert, September 11th. By the second commission meeting of next month, we should have candidates ready to go, correct?
We're talking about have the RFP go out and have the, not actual city manager candidates, the choices for the recruitment firm.
For the recruitment firm.
Yeah.
Yes, the choices for the recruitment.
Okay. we need to make sure that everyone on the committee, the Citizens Committee, everything is set up and they are fully trained under the sunshine laws. Is that correct, City Attorney?
I'll have an email out by Wednesday to all the members explaining all the rules and regulations.
Okay. The employee liaison, that's still getting done, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure that they're working, that they're also being included in that. The committee needs to be involved from the very beginning. So I want to make sure that that's in there as well. Let me see what else we have here.
Mr. Mayor?
Your mic's off.
Your mic's off.
Put it on. Are you talking about when you say from the very beginning, before, I mean, if you all hire a recruitment firm, they're going to go through the process of vetting. So are you talking about the committee would be talking to the potential candidates?
No, I'm talking about,
okay.
I'm talking about this.
Okay.
The spreadsheet
right.
that I believe interim city manager Gillette Woodcomb and city manager Carmen built to assist us with this. That's what I'm talking about. I just want to make sure that they're all trained, they understand, that they know they can be meeting, same rules apply. So,
do we need to put anything together for them to put the RFP out? Qualification, that what we're looking for?
That was going to be the next question: is what do you need from us?
I think it's been presented.
Well, Carmen presented a list of stuff, those bullet points. If you want to look through those, take a few days to look through those and get back with me. We can, in the meantime, we can go ahead and put the RFP out, try to get the RFP out while you're looking at those lists. And if you see any other qualities that you would want in a city manager, then y'all can let us know.
And no, what I meant in art, do we have anything special that we're looking for in a firm? Do we need to put anything together that we're specifically looking for a firm? Carmen saying no?
I think we've been out like 3 or 4 times, and I think that Joyce has all of them that have been done in the past. So again, I mean, this is all available information. If all of you would like to look at some of the previous ones and then, get that information to Joyce or Glenn or whatever, I mean, that might be a good process because we do have documentation that you can all review and look at and say, I like this, I don't like that, and then we can compile everything together based on what it appears the majority of the board is looking for, and then, when it comes forward, then you can see what it looks like.
Well, the reason I'm saying that, because it's the firm is a critical portion of this, is having the right firm for this.
I understand.
So that's why I'm saying, I mean, I know we have questions in the RFP from the last one. I don't know, Carmen, were you going to say something? Well, I'm not talking for the candidates. I'm talking to put the RFP together. What's going to be on the, am I making?
Yes,
Thank you.
And let's try to make this as simple as possible. Let's not make it more complicated. They'll put an RFP out, and they'll submit a proposal. Each firm that wants to be employed here for this particular process will submit a proposal. A committee, the commission will set up an evaluation committee, and you'll evaluate each proposal and score them appropriately. The one with the highest score gets the final interview, and that's the person. That's the consulting firm that you would select based upon the proposal. That's that particular portion, and so it's very simple. They'll put the RFP out. The company will submit their bids. You should select a selection committee. That selection committee will read each proposal and score them based upon the criteria that's in the RFP. Okay, and then you have to score them legitimately. You have to read each one. You'll score them based upon their results, based upon their evaluation criteria, all the points that are in that RFP. You'll score, and then the one that has the highest points is pretty simple. Is the one that's going to be recommended to you, and that's the one you select because that's the one that has the highest score. As far as the employee committee, they don't get involved until the semifinalists come out. When the semifinalists are presented to the commission, that's when the committee gets together. They look at the 10 candidates. They evaluate them based upon their the qualifications, the opportunities, and also the challenges. And they'll evaluate those, and they'll rate those, and they'll vote upon those, which ones they think are the best 3 or 4 candidates for you to interview. Those are recommendations to you. And then obviously it's the ultimate decision of the council to look at the 10 semifinalists with the input from the committee to choose the final folks to be interviewed. Now, if you don't like any of those, if you interview them and you don't like anybody, then you choose another set of candidates that are in that pool.
Yeah, what the vice mayor is asking for is not anything to do with the city managers. She wants to make sure that, do we have something already put in there of what we're requiring from the actual search firms?
Thank you.
Yes, there are the RFP requirements, and there are in every RFP.
Okay.
Vice Mayor.
Are you done, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We went through that already, and it's a long process. So if we're going to start from the beginning again, we're not going to meet your deadline.
Got it.
I remember that we went through this. I think we went through about 5 or 6 manuals this thick, and I think we narrowed down to 3 recruiters. Am I correct, Joyce?
Yeah, you ranked all 5, 1 through 5, which ones?
And then we narrowed down to 3, I think, or 5. So we went through all this. So if we want to move a little forward, and we never selected anybody because we stood with the same person that filled that intern manager's position. So, you know, can we bring back those 5 manuals,
we can
look at that to get a jump ahead? You know what I'm saying? And then from that, decide on 3 or
could that be considered our RFP
process.
if we use that pool, but only send the RFP to that pool? Yes.
It's a long process.
Yeah,
we went through this, and it took us about 2 months just to narrow it down.
So I think what we're talking about is using the same qualifications, not the same pool of people. Is that what you were saying, Vice Mayor?
When you say people, you say
Recruiters, that's what I mean, yes. Is that what you're saying, Vice Mayor?
No, I did not want to use the same.
That's what I'm saying. We want to get the same.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't specific language that needed to be on that RFP, which I think we already have, is what they're saying. So I wasn't sure if we needed to be more, because it was a long process. But I'm just trying to throw all transparency, because the last time we did go through a list of questions, but if everybody's good with us just using the previous list that we sent on the RFP, then we just do that.
But you can also take the RFP, and there's a pretty finite list of recruiters out there. It's not like there's 20, 30, 40 that do this kind of work. And you could send it to all of them and ask them for proposals, and then the proposals come back, and you all can, go through them and see. So you're not just getting what you got in the past, that you're opening up to whatever's out there, and then whatever you get, then you all can decide which ones you like.
So is 30 days substantial then? I mean, if you're saying
we said 45 days.
I think we can do it.
Point of clarification, Mayor, sorry. When we go out for the RFP will come back into our purchasing department, our purchasing manager. At that point, what y'all did last time and what I recommend you do is the commission goes through the RFP or goes through the submittals from the RFP of the search firms. You all rank those like they did last time. Y'all rank them top firms, top 5 or whatever you want to do, and then we go from there. And I don't believe it would be proper for the city employees to go through those submittals. I think it should be the commission to do that, to make the recommendation to hire the firm. So.
Can we get this done in the amount of time, 45 days? That means get the RFP together, get the RFP out, get the RFP back in, have a 30-day window for that to close, and then so in 6 weeks we are sitting here with ranking our search firm. Can we just move forward? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can do that amount of time, but keep in mind that you all will have to rank those submittals for the RFP. So
that's fine.
That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
That's fine. We have a couple more public comments just for future reference. Once we close public comments, it's closed. But just because I understand some new faces, I want to hear what they have to say, and then we're closing public comment, and we're going to move forward. So,
Carolyn Hickerson, please.
Okay, I'm a little vague on the Citizens Search Committee here. I'm a little vague on what we're supposed to be doing. I thought that, and maybe obviously I'm mistaken, but I thought the search committee was going to be involved in every level of the search, and that we would make recommendations to y'all, and that the search committee would be, the citizens would have input from the beginning of what we would expect also of the city manager, so that we would put together, like, we don't even know when we're going to meet. We don't know if we're going to meet. We don't have any timelines of anything. I don't even know the people that are on the search committee. So I'm kind of like feeling like, what is the point of the search committee? Like, what is our job? You know, what is our point here? Because if we're going to be involved in the search, and we should be involved in all of the search, and we should be, this is now I could be completely off here, but that's just what my mind was going in that hamster wheel, and so that we would be involved as a search committee and make recommendations to y'all. I see you shaking your head, so obviously I'm wrong in that. So that's okay, Dan. Because I'll take that, because I don't understand. That's why I'm asking the questions. So I get that I'm probably mistaken in that. But I do think that we should have input as a search committee as to what the citizens would want in respect to whomever you hire as well, so that we can have input to your search group that you hire, that they would know what the citizens' wishes are and what we're also looking for to serve this city.
So another thing, we usually don't respond, but I think this is important, right, that we do clarify that. That's why I've asked that we make sure that we get with the people that we picked as part of the committee as soon as possible to start avoiding some of this misinformation. Let's accept one of our faults as a city, right, as a whole. Sometimes we're not the best at communicating. That is the truth. I see it. I'm pretty sure we all see it. So we need to do a better job in making sure we communicate that. I have heard from both of the people that I picked, they don't know when they're meeting, what time they're meeting, when they're supposed to meet, so that is an issue. So, I know that staff just got all that information and they're working on it, but when we sent out that congratulations thing, hey, more information is about to come. So if you want, if we can make this public to the committee, to the Citizens Committee, that'd be great. So you guys can see where in the process you guys are going to be talking to us regarding your recommendations and your issues. That'd be great. So thank you, Ms. Hickerson. I believe there was now two more.
Courtney Hannon.
This is my first workshop, so I wasn't aware there wasn't going to be any sort of back and forth or anything like that. I just had a couple of questions. I'm not sure if the Citizens Committee would have any input on the RFPs that come back, as far as being able to provide their recommendation on which firm we actually move forward with, since it is going to be a large portion of money that would be spent on that. And that is one of the biggest concerns that we have here tonight is, who we're picking for that. The next question that I had was around how that works with the search firms, as far as what maybe qualifications you can request for them. I know in his presentation that he put up there was a mention of like a guarantee, and I know that's it's a lot of money, right? And so the big fear is that we're going to hire someone, spend all that money on it, and then they're not going to work out. So how does that work with search firms in terms of will they provide a certain amount of time of like if they end up leaving after so long that they will continue the search, or that they will have backup candidates or things like that, and if we're allowed to put that in our RFP for those search firms and stuff like that. And then I also don't know how it works in terms of the contracts that you guys develop for the city manager, and what we're allowed to put in place to make sure that they are actually going to stay for a certain amount of time, right? Under review for a certain amount of months or things like that before their salary does increase, or what options you have for that. And that might be getting into the nitty-gritty details, but those are some of the questions that I have about how that process works.
If you can please leave your information, and so I'm sure either Mr. Whitcomb or Ms. Siegel George will get with you on that information.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm on the committee thing, so I guess I'll ask. That's up there? Okay.
Yes.
Larry French.
Larry French, 2520 Arslan Street here in Deltona. I'm also a member of the Citizen Review Committee, and my question is, how soon will we receive information about the guidelines and so forth under Sunshine? I know I'm on a county committee, so I want to be very particular, especially in this venue I'm going to be in. And I'd like to have and be able to solicit as many questions and comments from residents that could be used when our committee actually starts to review candidates. So I would like to know if I would be able to solicit through all the forums and so forth we have available to get as many pieces of input from residents that then I can utilize in the committee, so that we can have the type of transparency and the communication that we're striving for in the community. Because I've already been reading feedback that's been posted about people who are already accusing us of being cronies, selectees for favoritism and so forth. And I want to make sure this is going to be very clear and transparent, and I want to do the best possible job I can do for the city. So that's my question.
I appreciate that, Mr. French. So, Marcia, as soon as you can you please make sure that we get with all the people that were selected?
Yes, but just so you all know, I'm going to be addressing Sunshine and what they can and cannot do. I don't know when the first meeting will be, or, you know, some of these other things. It's my understanding that this committee is going to be, when the search firm or whoever gets the candidates, and then the commission decides, well, these are the 10 or 12 we want to interview, that's when they come into action and start holding, you know, meetings with these candidates to talk to them.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't mean to interrupt you. It's just make sure that they have all that information beforehand to avoid any misinformation.
I understand, but I wasn't involved in this initial process, so I'm only, and I'll talk to the city manager about it, because I don't want to give anybody any incorrect information, but I just want to be very careful on the information that I'm offering.
That's fine. Or Mr. Whitcomb, if you can, one of you two?
Yes.
I understand Marcia has to do the legal part of it, right? But if you want to educate the committee,
yeah, I will work with Marcia, and we will get some information out to them, and then we'll work out from there.
Thank you.
The Sunshine's immediate. That's because they don't realize they can't even talk to us.
That's the first, Mayor, if I may. That is the first move that has to be made with the committee, is the Sunshine training, and then everything else falls underneath that. That's all I just wanted to bring up. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dear committee members, welcome to the world. Welcome to Thunderdome. Welcome to Deltona Thunderdome. Because I have read it on social media too, that you're all cronies, that you were all picked, and it's a conspiracy and it's baloney. And I am, for the record right now, picked the people that I picked based on being a resident, being an involved resident, more importantly, being an involved resident for a period of time, because the people that I picked have been involved in coming to these meetings and working on both sides of the board, meaning offering not just complaints, but these are solution-oriented people also. So I didn't pick somebody that just has a habit of complaining. I picked people who want to identify a problem and then provide solution. You know, so you're going to hear that. Don't be discouraged when you start hearing these things, because you are important to what we're doing. It would be said that we don't care, it doesn't matter, we just did this for feel. That's not true. I am desperate to hear what my constituency wants, the city people, and I'm entrusting you, this committee, to do that. So welcome, I say.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move forward with the city manager comments.
I think I've dominated enough of the time tonight. I have no further comments.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.